Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Love Island Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host today, and very good friend, and he's back, is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. You can't see me, but I am grinning ear to ear. It's genuinely been a long week, so I'm so excited to be back on, talking to you about a bit of Love Island, and talking with the silver feather himself.
Some people call it silver cock, Dave. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Dave, I tell you what, though, what a week for you to go on a secret spy mission as well. The last week, the dates, we've had a couple of good voicemails from you. And I also want to say, before we go any further, massive thanks to Joe Russell from My Secret Recording, my boyfriend, for coming on for a couple of days. Joe's great, and she will always jump on and talk a bit of Love Island with us. And obviously Ed Ross as well on Monday. So thank you guys for filling in for Dave. And it's been a good week, actually. I know you've been listening, and we've had the voicemails played out and that. We had a good laugh yesterday, myself and Joe. We really did. But Dave, I have missed you slightly, I must admit. I know I was taking the piss about the age thing and stuff, which I don't know where that's come from, the age thing. But...
I was crying about that, to be honest. Because I could hear you. When someone's grinning when they're speaking, I could hear you grinning. And I'm like, you fucking bastard, you've done me.
Part of the dynamic duo, Dave, you know what I mean? It has been a good week, to be fair. There's been a couple of things. Dave, I have a new couple I want to talk about later that I want to win Love Island. So where do you want to start?
Probably with the final vote, sort of right at the end there. So we knew that, there was going to be a couple going out tonight. I was convinced it was going to be Demi and Luke M, to be honest. So I was pretty surprised it was Mike and Priscilla in the end. And I think, we've given Mike a bit of stick, haven't we, when he was sort of jumping from girl to girl. But I think they've been pretty solid, and Mike's good entertainment, and Priscilla just seems genuinely kind of a nice girl. So a little bit sorry to see them not make it to the final. I mean, what do you think?
I'm with you. I would have put my house on Luke M and Demi. I don't think they deserve at all, Dave. I really don't. I think Mike and Priscilla, perfect. And I've got to say, Dave, fucking Mike's brothers, they're as smooth as he is, aren't they, Dave? We're talking about smooth. That's what I call them, fucking Lurpak. A lot of them, they are smooth as fuck, them lot.
They are. And his brother to his... As we were looking it on, so his right, and as we were looking at the telly, our left, fucking hell, I had to do a double take because he was an absolute dead ringer. I mean, I thought his other brother looked a bit like him, but the guy on our left, I had to keep looking at, no, the one in tears, that's Mike, right?
Yeah.
So, but we've never really seen that side of Mike, have we, actually? Just being really emotional, and I must admit, although this last week it's never my favorite, to come in and you kind of know what's going to happen, and everyone's like, all getting very emotional, but I can't really help but get a little bit emotional with them, when they're not so much when they're all excited, but when they leave again, and because I know they're in this luxury villa, but there's an element of it. It must be a bit like being in prison.
Yes.
Because you can't see the outside world or anything. And then you see those familiar faces. It did tug on the old heartstrings.
I'll be honest, Dave. And Joe made some good points this week. She was saying, like, the baby game was a great distraction after what happened last week. Obviously, the tragic events. It was something a bit lighthearted, a bit of what we needed. And what I found interesting, Dave, is we did call out when we watched the US version of Love Island, their first series, which is coincidentally the second series is on in May the 21st, I think. But I think what was interesting was obviously Laura Whitmore is probably not in any fit state to come in, Dave, and do their voting off. But the way they voted off tonight, I mean, it's not something I wished because of what had happened, but I preferred that than her coming in. And I think it was better that the Islanders actually voted him off. I only realised halfway through, and I thought usually she would be here, wouldn't she, for this sort of voting off. And I get why, because obviously she maybe she just can't give a poker face away, Dave, which I would totally understand. But I did prefer it. And I'm with you, like we just said. I genuinely thought Luke M and Debbie. I'm still not convinced by them. Mike and Priscilla, I think they are going to be a couple outside the villa, Dave. I know I've been skeptical this week with Joe and Ed, like taking the piss, but these a couple of people, Dave, and I'm happy to admit this on the podcast because, you know, there's no old bars with me and you. I did shed a tear, Dave, when the families come in. And it was on a one specific couple, if I can say specific, right? But it was on one couple out of all of them. All the others I liked, and it was a bit of a thing. The Demi and Luke one I wasn't buying. I don't care what a mum says in a family. And Luke's, I just don't get it. I think they're nice people, but I just don't think they're compatible. But Dave, what about you? Did any of them sort of pull on the old Horrocks heartstrings?
I think all of them, to be honest. I mean, Shanice was the first one to go, wasn't she? You know, she was in tears, and then Luke M, you know, was they were meeting the combined families. Um, when Finn went, he properly went, didn't
Oh
he?
God, yeah, yeah,
You know, again, it's funny because, you know, I know he's 20, but let's face it, he looks like a beefy 30-year-old bloke, doesn't he?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so to see that side of him, I thought that was quite touching. But no, I thought all of them. You know, Luke M, you know, is clearly a mummy's boy, isn't he? So he was, you know, trying to fight back the tears. Honestly, Chris, I was, you know, I had a proper lump in the throat most of
yeah.
the night.
I did, and I don't know why, because I fucking shit on the show completely and how scripted it is. But I did. I think it was quite real, and I'm with you. I think it was nice, the Shanice situation, Luke T, the whole dynamic of everyone. But the one, oh, and I tell you what, who I thought had the line of the episode was Paige's dad, and she went about with Finn. He went, "Tell you what, getting down on a Thursday five-a-side, he's a big lad, him, innit?" And I was thinking that's a typical dad sort of conversation. And when they said, we're 90% we've loved, and then her dad went, "Should we talk about the Breakfast Club then?" He was like, "Oh fuck," you know.
That was brilliant.
There's some lovely families, and I think Jess said that, lovely families. But Dave, the ones who got me at the end, and I was genuinely like welling up, like this is too much. Was Jess and Ched, Dave? I genuinely, when Ched's mum and dad come in, and they hugged him, and his dad said, he's like, "What about your dad?" You know, and they were sat down and that. I was gone. He was proper, you know, the big guy just became like the proper
Yeah, yeah.
softy, didn't he? And I love that. And Jess with obviously Evie coming in, and mum and dad, they were all dead genuine. I think maybe it was just the crescendo of everything happening. You can see that even though we know they've been directed with some of the shit that's gone on, and the way it's so false at times, this is probably one of the only times in this series that was quite real. I know they might have been given a bit of directions on the questions or whatever, but the actual the love of that, it's your family at the end of the day, Dave. And I did really enjoy it. I really, really enjoyed it tonight. I didn't think I would. I was thinking, oh fuck,
Yeah.
I
And I
did.
think, oh, sorry, go on.
No, sorry, I did, and I think what came with it all, Dave, I want Ched and Jess to win over anybody now.
See, I'm not sure who I actually want to win. But I don't think I'd be offended if any of them won.
Yeah,
You know, well, actually, probably Luke M. I wouldn't mind if Luke M won it, but there is something not quite authentic about Demi that something is troubling me about her.
yeah,
Just especially watching it this week. I mean, we spoke off air, didn't we? And I said she did this weird laugh thing. It's such a put on over the top laugh, but she did this like 80s dance thing. She laughed and it was like ha 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 ha. I was like, what the fuck is that? No
yeah,
one laughs like that. That was, I think that was Wednesday. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday, that one. No, I think Jess and Chad, yeah, I could go with that. I think, again, I think I sound like a misogynist prick, but, you know, calling out the ladies. But again, with Paige, I'm afraid there's something that just troubles me a little bit about how genuine she is. I think Finn is. I think he's really into it. Can't help but think that Paige is there for a career. Well,
yeah,
actually, what am I saying? They all bloody are, aren't they? But
yeah,
yeah, and I've got to tell you, Chris, so Shanice and Luke T, I mean, they've warmed on me. I would have liked to have seen that couple challenged a bit. You know, another girl actually go after Luke T after he kind of put all his eggs in the Shanice basket. But fucking hell, Chris, what is with Shanice's wardrobe choices. I mean, all of the girls have got their asses hanging out, so that doesn't differentiate her. But she's got like a whole fucking Borat mankini thing going on.
I thought that when she was running over to her family, and then obviously then she meets Luke T's family. I'm thinking, this is not. Yeah, and Jess was the same, Dave. I know it's all the sex sells and that, but sometimes less is more, Dave, isn't it? A
Yeah.
little bit of imagination or something. Not you don't need literally to their asses to be hanging out all the time, do you? I agree with that. I do. I know all right, the lads have all got the tops off. It's Love Island. They can't just walk around in their fucking pajamas and slum it, can they? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
But
but the lads aren't going around in budgie smugglers, are they?
no. I know exactly. I do agree. I do agree with that. I think it's strange, and I think just getting back to what you said about Demi, there's just something off with it, Dave. And I'm trying to be impartial to a point, so I'm not like you've just said. So we're not just going after all the girls because we're not. I don't think we have, but I do agree. There's just something not sincere about her, and I can't work out what it is. I'm very surprised that no one's been thrown into the mix for the last week, Dave. And now there's going to be nobody because
Yeah.
obviously the thing is going to be on over the weekend, the final. But I'm very surprised the format this year.
Yeah, and I think it's been a very strange week ultimately, hasn't it? Because of all the tragic events from last week. I think they've probably just eased up a bit. You know, they don't want to throw anyone else in. I'd said before all this happened, I'd said about, well, let's see how Paige reacts to some of her own headlines, you know, with old Lewis Capaldi and that. But I think the producers are probably just like, no, let's keep everything kind of nicey right now, and then we'll just see how this season.
Yeah, and I think Luke Paige's mum, sorry, she even called Paige out about the age thing. You know, you'd said a few times she was always going on about his age, and she even went. She went, "Hang on, you got about his age. You made it into a big thing. There's only 18 months between you." And Luke Page sort of
Yeah,
looked, and then it panned away. But at least the mum was there, as a mum would do, and say, "Come on, you're just picking." Holes because I think at the time when she was saying it, she wasn't sure about Finn at all, and obviously as time's gone on, it's grown into this relationship. But I think you're right. I think looking at the long game, not necessarily the US one, because they have a different approach to a lot of things, don't they, Dave? I mean, when we watched the US one, at times it was too fucking High School Musical, wasn't it? It was too
yeah.
only a couple of times where we got a little bit of shit. There wasn't anything like what you get in the UK one. And the Aussie one this year was really diluted, or last year, sorry, it was really diluted compared to the first series. So I think long term, come June, there is going to be a change in Love Island because there has to be because of what's happened. They've got to stick with the format they've gone with. This has all been planned for months and the budget and everything. But I do think come June that when the new one comes out of July, it's going to be a slightly different show, to be honest. Maybe for the better, Dave.
Maybe. I mean, ultimately, what happened has got nothing to do with Love Island, the show.
No.
It is, but that doesn't stop people with a political agenda trying to just, take up a bit of airtime and calling, sensationalizing that the show is the cause and all this sort of nonsense. So I genuinely, after this season, I think there is a little bit of a risk that, it could get canned. I
Yeah.
mean, Jeremy Kyle got canned, didn't it, after one tragic event? We've ultimately had a few now with this show. So again, it's just one of those things. But hopefully, we'll be in for the US and the UK ones as well come later this year.
Yeah, exactly, Dave. Exactly. And while you've been away, Dave, we have had a couple of emails. I did read James out yesterday when I said I will eat my bollocks. Luckily, there's been no videos, and I didn't even attempt to do that, no matter how flexible I think I am. But we did have a couple of emails. One of them was from Denise, and it says telltale signs. Now, this email is a couple of days old because I thought I'd stack them up for when we come back on together, Dave. So this is that stage where it's so damn syrupy and you have to look at the tiny signs. And the sign I'm seeing is Luke M is not into Demi, as the rest of his fellow bros are faking being in that girlfriend. But alas, I don't feel sorry for him because when he gets out the villa, he will be hot property as a model, doing club gigs and thousands of girls chasing after him. What's next now in this dragging out show? The family's visit. Ugh. I mean, this is obviously before we've just discussed this. Later from Brooklyn, Denise. So thank you again, Denise. Another great email. And then we had, I love this name, Dave, Hennessy Green. has emailed in. What is going on with these people? Hey, gents, I've been listening to the podcast again this season, but I've not been tweeting or emailing for one simple reason. These people suck. I don't mean personally. I'm sure they are great people outside of the villa. I mean, they suck as personalities on a reality TV show. In the history of reality television, has there ever been assembled a cast of less interesting people? I doubt it. I usually have the show and shows like it on in the background as I get some work done each night before bed. I can honestly say, if it wasn't for the joy of your listening to you two on your podcast, break down these idiots, I would have bailed on this season right after I saw the snorefest that is this season's Casa Amor. Keep up the good work, but bring on Bachelor in Paradise or another season of Temptation Island. I may be done with Love Island Hennessy. Dave, I've told you, Bachelor is not bad at all. Bachelor in Paradise and Temptation Island is outstanding. That's Love Island R-rated at times.
What would we? When do we fit it in, though? We've done 4 seasons now. This is our penultimate episode of our 4th season. When exactly do you think we're going to fit this in? So,
I don't know,
and when
Dave.
when is the Temptation Island? When is that on? Is there a season running? Is it just finished? What's the score there?
I'm not sure. I've seen the first 2 seasons, which you can do on Catch Up. I think they're on Prime, but I honestly don't know. I'm presuming they're on again because it's quite a successful reality show, Dave. It's absolute fucking. It's just a shit show of a TV show. They just split everyone up. So you get the girls going one villa. They're all couples. The girls go in one villa. The guys go in another villa. And then the same amount of new lads come in with the girls. And then the same amount of girls going with the lads. So you've basically got 2 villas worth of people who don't know each other. And all the girls make a play for the lads and all the lads make a play for the girls who are all in couples. And Dave, it is an absolute mess. In the last one, there was a guy there who loved his girlfriend sincerely. Then it come out he cheated on her, literally every fucking week of relationship. Then he was going for a threesome, Dave, within a couple of days. I know we got that pushed on us by one of our listeners. And I was like, I've seen the first series. And he's like, no, watch the second one. And it was just a different level. It was and there was so much arguing and kicking off. Oh, it was outstanding TV.
Let's. It'll be on catch up somewhere. I'll watch 1 or 2 episodes. You put me onto something else, that catfishing one, which I just didn't take to at all. You know, the one where they're all in rooms and they pretend to be someone else, but they can message each other.
Yeah. Oh, The Circle.
The Circle, yeah. It didn't take me at all. I'm sure if I'd have watched 5 episodes or something, I'd have got into it, but I just wasn't interested.
I love that, actually, Dave. Richard Madeley was on that. It was brilliant. It was really good. But,
well, I think even you said that first episode wasn't that great. It's one of those that probably the more you watch it, the more you get to know the people inside. But it'd have probably been like Love Island, actually, if I'd have watched 3 or 4 episodes, I'd have been all in and obsessing about it. But no, we'll do something else. Certainly, if Love Island disappears, we'll definitely do something else.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to throw the question out, and I know me and Dave are not in the same room, but he's probably going to want to punch me at this point. But as we've mentioned a few shows, and we always get asked, don't we? Because we do, obviously, a couple of reviewing podcasts, Comics in Motion, VHS Strikes Back. We did do a football one, didn't we, Dave? We sort of jump on as and when we want to talk about our football teams and the English football Premiership. But everyone keeps saying, keep doing what we're doing with this sort of analysing review style format of a current show, but there isn't. I don't see anything at the moment out there in the UK or US or anywhere around the world that is the same style as Love Island, unless you just purely go down the route of watching reality stuff, which obviously I love, Dave. But the way Love Island's on for like 8 weeks every single night, it's a long slog for me and you. We absolutely love it, but it's a lot of dedication. So I think we're open to do something, and we've even discussed a retro rewind, haven't we, on some of the previous scenes that you've never seen, but we just don't know how to approach it because obviously I know all the outcomes and watched all the shows, so we're not sure how we. So if anyone's got any suggestions, just email us in, guys, at the loveislandcast@gmail.com or Twitter us at Love Island Cast, something like that. Anyway, but just as an idea, because then we love doing this sort of thing, don't we? Well, really? I love doing this sort of thing. Anyway, Dave just comes along for the ride.
I love dissecting it, like with you, and I end up getting sucked in somewhere along the way.
Yeah, but you fucking
That's
hate it
not
all.
that's not a Breakfast Club euphemism, by the way. So, what are your predictions, though, Chris? You've said you want Jess and Ched to win. Who do you actually think will win?
I think Chinese and Luke T will, because I did say to Joe on yesterday's show that the one thing I would say is by saying the love word and the fact that Finn denied that he was in love with Paige, subconsciously someone watching that's going to go, well, I'm going for them too, because they genuinely love each other. The cynic inside, I mean, the Love Island aficionado says that it's probably the best fucking game plan you could play if you want to actually be there in the last two. Without a doubt, I'm not doubting it, because tonight showed, I think it is a genuine relationship. But if you wanted to just say, you know what, we're in love, fuck it, let's get the 50 grand. That's how you do it. And by Finn saying he wasn't in love with Paige, I think that sort of lost them a few votes, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. I'm gonna go out on a limb because I'm definitely going to choose someone different to you. I'm going to say Finn and Paige. I think, despite my reservations, I think the public will go that way.
You could be right, Dave. You could be right. Either way, it's going. There's a few there. Like I say, Ched and Jess are my outsiders. I just like. I wasn't sure of Jess, but I think she's quite upfront.
It's
The way
only
she
a
speaks.
3-horse race, so.
Well, yeah, true. No, 4. We got Demi and Luke, haven't we? We've got Demi and Luke, but
Oh,
they're
fucking
definitely.
forgot about them.
Yeah, but they're not even in the
They're gone.
fucking race. They're just going to be holding everyone's prosecco at the end of the day. They're definitely not winning it. So you're right. So I really, really like Ched. I think he's a top lad. So
he's a big cuddly bear, isn't he? I mean, he's a monster to look at, but he just seems like quite a humble, nice guy. And so, yeah, I definitely wouldn't be disappointed if those two won. I'd be quite happy for them.
No, it's good stuff. And again, thank you everybody for supporting the podcast over this run. We've got one more episode to go, and we're really, really pleased with the way it's gone and the fact that people are still tuning in, and we're getting loads of new listeners from all over the world. And keep everything coming in. And if you are listening to this on catch up in your respective country, wherever you are, just send over your emails. It doesn't matter. Me and Dave are happy. We can always jump on and respond to them, even if it's not current and live as you're watching it, as we're recording this, like in the UK. So definitely get everything sent in to us, guys, and spread the word on the podcast if you get a chance.
And if you head over to Apple Podcasts and drop us a review, drop us some comments in there. Actually, Chris, you know what? I have said that. I think I've got a couple I've not read out.
Nice.
Let me just bring it up here. This is great podcast listening, isn't it? Oh my word. Yeah, definitely had a new one. So, right. Here we go. This one's from the US store and it's entitled Great After Show. Hey guys, a fan from the USA. Recently found Love Island UK and watched season 5 and now season 6. I thought there has to be a podcast. I found you guys and so glad I did. I love your opinions on the show. Very entertaining. Keep up the good work. Season 5 was great. Maura and Curtis are my favourite. I feel like I'm not into any couples yet in season 6, but you guys are really helping me enjoy this season. Keep up the great pod, Heather.
That's great.
And the second one, which I don't think I've read out, but we can edit it out if I have. It says, this is also from the US, Chris, and this says, took the words out of my mouth. I love these guys. I've only been listening for a few weeks, but truly laugh out loud several times per episode. They aren't affiliated with the show or cast, so they are brutally honest and hilariously so. Hi from Kentucky, which is not remotely close to Las Vegas. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And I think I'm just going to say one last one because I might have read this one out before. This one's from the UK store. It says, legit, so much better than the official podcast, real and funny. Glad I found it as the other one was doing my head in. So if I have read that one out previously, it's good enough to read out again.
And also, Dave, with all our US friends, if any of them want to send over a couple of tickets for us to go to Las Vegas because they're truly entertained by our podcast, look, I will happily take them off their hands, Dave, and I'm sure you'll come with me on this journey back to my favourite city in the world. But again, Kentucky's closer to Las Vegas than Manchester, Dave, so I can accept that.
Yeah, we can have a bit of bourbon. I
Yeah.
don't think that's how airplane tickets work. You know, if you're a resident of a country, you just get free tickets to give out for everyone to come. But okay.
If you don't ask, you don't get, David. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome? We should do a Kickstarter or something. Next
Yeah.
season's US Love Island, we'll do live from Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, Dave. Oh, my word. I'm not going till 2021. I want to go this year, please. I've not been since November 2018. It's killing me now. So please, if you're out there, maybe we could do a Kickstarter, Dave, couldn't we? Maybe for every time that I say fuck, someone donates $1, Dave. We'll definitely be going within a couple of episodes.
Yeah. Every time you say something you're not actually going to do, like you're going to eat your own bollocks if they're all together. You know, actually, I did see the other day, actually. So Zach and Elizabeth from the US season were a couple that I thought would be rock solid, and even they've split up. So fair play to Tommy and Molly May and Curtis and Maura. You know, not to be cynical, but I do think the Curtis and Maura thing is definitely a professional convenience thing. But Tommy and Molly May still going strong, aren't they?
Yeah, can't argue with it, Dave. Can't argue with it. And they're making
And I know it's the Love Island podcast, but I have to say, we're going to be watching the boxing, aren't we? So we'll be cheering on the Gypsy King tonight, old Tyson Fury.
Oh, God, yeah. I'll be getting up about 4 o'clock, Dave, to watch that 100%. He's a Manchester lad. He's a great lad. I was never a fan for quite a while, Dave, but he's a top bloke. So I hope he does the business in there. He takes out Deontay Wilder because he beat him last time. He was an absolute blagged out on points. Even though he got knocked down twice, he beat him. I think it was like 8 rounds to 4. So let's hope that Fury takes it, Dave.
I think it'd be a great story. I mean, he's quite vocal, isn't he? He's quite outspoken about mental health and, you know, taking care of yourself and stuff. And I think it'll be a brilliant way to end this week.
I do. I agree. So, guys, we will see you all on Sunday, Monday for our final episode. Take care.
Bye now.